Hello everyone and welcome to the online learning for National 4 and 5 Design and Manufacture. Today we're going to look at some design theory and focus on the environment and society. So what I'd like you to have an understanding of by the end of this is the positive and negative effects that a product can have on the environment and society, looking particularly at the manufacture and disposal of products. So we'll start off by looking at society and how design can affect us. So on the left hand side here I've got two images of people washing their clothes in the past. Right? So in the past you would have had to have scrubbed them manually for possibly hours and then taken a long time to get them dry and clean enough to wear again. So what designers have done is they've created a product called the washing machine, which you'll all be familiar with, and that has helped improve our lives because we are now able to put our stuff in there and have it clean and dried in a very short space of time. Right, so that is a benefit to society because that manual task is now no longer having to be done by us. A machine can do it for us. So there are loads of designs which do benefit us in the way that we live our lives. Light bulbs, telephones, refrigerators, penicillin, aeroplanes, bank cards, TVs, the internet, cars. These are all things which have been designed to make our life easier, whether that's through communication or travel or entertainment or whatever its purpose is. It's a benefit to us and it is good design for us. However, design isn't always great for society, right? Some people would say that it makes us lazy. Some people would say that it takes away from the interaction of humans. So here I've got a picture of two people out for dinner sitting on their phones. Right? That's not good for us. We should be talking, we should be interacting. It's good for our mental health. It can lead to closures of factories, people losing jobs because the technology that is designed is doing it for them. Or people might say it just stops us using our brain as much as we would have in the past. Right? If you can pick up your phone and Google the answer and get it within 2 seconds, it stops you figuring it out for yourself. So let's look at the environment and how design can affect the environment. So how can design affect the environment? So what designers have to think about is what materials they're using. How are they actually going to distribute this product from their factory to wherever in the world this thing is going to be sold? How are they going to package this thing to get it from their factory to where it's going to be sold? And at the end of its life cycle, when it is either broken or no longer needed, how is this thing going to be disposed? There's been loads of documentaries over the years, David Attenborough documentaries showing that disposal of products is really affecting the environment. So what designers are doing now is they are trying to make things a lot more sustainable. So down on the bottom left here, there is some chairs by IKEA. Right? That is something that they sell in their store, which is 100% recycled. Right? So that is one benefit to the environment because they are using stuff which is already existing. It's waste. Right? Every time I wanted to create a new wooden table, for example, if I had to chop down yet another tree, that is bad for the environment. So what designers need to do is start to think about how they can reduce their consumption of materials, how they could maybe reuse materials which are polluting the earth, that have no purpose anymore, how they could recycle what's already there, how they can rethink their design. So is there any way that they could redesign it or adapt it to make it more sustainable and help the environment? Or start to think about the lifespan of the product. Is it able to last a longer time than a year until a new version comes out or a better version comes out? Is this going to be a sustainable product? Okay, so how could you use this stuff in exams? So here is a question from a past paper a couple of years ago. So question 10. The manufacturers have a responsibility to reduce the damage that they cause to the environment. Outline the steps that a manufacturer could take to reduce their impact on the environment. So 4 marks. So what they're looking for you to do here is talk about what the manufacturer can do to make sure that they are reducing their impact on the environment with their designs. So what you could talk about here to get the 4 marks is mentioning any of these 4 points. So you could talk about them using renewable energy sources. They don't have to burn oil all the time in order to get their machines, etc. working. Could they use solar panels? Could they use wind energy, hydro energy? They could make manufacturing more energy efficient. They could use sustainable materials, use recycled materials, use locally sourced materials and reduce transport. So why get plastic from India when you could get plastic from Scotland, etc. They could reduce the packaging. They could reduce the amount of material used, use the lifespan of the materials and standard components. Thinking about the ease of maintenance, the minimal waste material, recycled materials, reducing the component parts, reducing the number of processes that are involved in making the thing, reduce the factory emissions, limit the amount of product being produced, and impacting the habitat. So these are all things that you could do, the manufacturer could do to reduce their impact on the environment. And any of those 4 points there would get you the 4 marks for that question. So let's look at another question. So question 9 from a different past paper. 3D printers and laser cutters are widely used in design and manufacturing of products. Describe the impact that the use of these technologies has had on society. If you do not know what a 3D printer or laser cutter are, they are machines where you input the information and essentially a robot will make it for you. Right, so if that's going to be happening, what kind of impact would that have on society? So fewer workers are going to be required because the machine is making it for you. There's not someone manually manufacturing the product. The workers would require to have a new skill, so those who are operating it would need to learn a new skill in order to operate and use this machine. Potentially lower salaries because the machine is making it for you. And economic decline of the employee or ex-employees' living areas. Right? So for example, if there's a factory and they have laid off 90% of the staff, those 90% of staff in that area no longer have a job. So that area's economic might decline. Next one. So products are being designed to be more sustainable. Describe the steps designers and manufacturers can take to make products more sustainable. Right? Just like the previous question on the last slide, they could reuse materials which are recycled. They could use appropriate durable materials or finish them in a way which will extend their lifespan. So if something's going to be outdoors and you use a material which is likely to rust, for example, then they could adapt that material to make it not rust by painting it or dip coating it or something like that. They could rethink the design and how it's assembled, how its materials are and how it's packaged. So anything they can do to make that product more sustainable is what they're looking for in this question. So once again, reduce, reuse, recycle, rethink, and thinking of the lifespan. In your folio work, how can you incorporate this stuff? Right, so when you're designing something, you need to think about how your product would possibly affect the environment or the society as well. Right, so you could talk about what is the environmental impact of the product that I'm making. Right, so even if you're making a one-off project for yourself, you could comment on why you've chosen that material. So for example, if you're using a manufactured board, you could say that it is a more sustainable wood. Okay, what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to do a task based on a mobile phone. Right, it's something that I'm assuming that most of you will have. So the task is to create a research investigation into mobile phones and their impact on the environment and society. So you can do this on a PowerPoint, you can do it on a Word document, you can hand write it out and draw it up if you want to. Any way you do it is up to you, and you can get it back to your teacher through Teams or Show My Homework or their email address that they give it to you. So what I'd like you to do is to take the product and think about the positive impacts that can have on the environment, right? If you can't find any information, Google it. The negative impacts that product could have on the environment, if you can't think of anything, Google it. The positive impacts that this product, the phone, has on society, and the negative impacts that that might have on society, right? This doesn't have to be a particularly long task. If it's bullet points or you would rather write it out in sentences or whatever, it's up to you, right? But try your best, and if you can get that back to your teacher, we can have a look at it. Good luck.